Welcome to the podcast, which is all about the world of direct response. Are we on the air? I'm your host, Sean Wilsey, and for over 30 years I've hosted shows on cable shopping networks, and now I want to be your guide into this world as we look at the ever-changing nature of these industries. As we put the top on 2025, and it's hard to believe we're saying that, but indeed we are, it is time for something I've been wanting to do every year, and I haven't, and that is just kind of a look back on the year with regards to TV shopping, direct response, infomercials, and all of that. And I think this year it's more appropriate because so much has happened over the past year, and we'll go over some of that. Joining me to do this is the son of the man who's largely responsible for this whole industry, Marvin Segel, son of QVC founder Joseph Segel. Marvin, by the way, as I bring you on board, have you read John Malone's new book yet?
Yes, I have. Yep.
Okay,
I have it right up here. Yep.
I'm just going through it, and it's for anybody that's interested in the cable television industry as a whole. It's a great read. I'm about halfway through it. And considering I just did my show about CVN, it's interesting because for those that don't know, he was the founder of TCI, one of the largest cable systems ever, and he was one of the driving forces behind QVC, the minnow swallowing the whale, getting the team behind Wall Street and the investment team that allowed QVC to overtake and devour CVN and become number one because they had so much confidence in your dad. And I thought it was just really nice what he wrote in his book about the confidence that he and Wall Street had in your dad and QVC.
Yeah, no, it was very nice. And he also talked about the crazy story with Barry Diller too.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So It's a great read. We won't recap the whole thing, but go get the book, please, because it really is a very good read. But again, QVC, the topic here. Some of the notes, the highlights, and I'm using air quotes when I say that, of the past year. In 2025, the year QVC stock split 50-1. HSN moved to Pennsylvania, closing down their campus. Half the hosts went, half didn't. You had the retirement of Mary Beth Rowe, legend. The upcoming retirement of Bobby Ray from HSN. QVC started their TikTok 24/7. They actually started TikTok in 24, but they went 24/7 with it in 2025. And same story, different day. Their sales are down year over year. I mean, where do you want to begin? Because I know you have your own thoughts as well over what 2025 represented in this industry.
Well, this industry, basically, there's a formula, and it's customer count times average selling price times purchase frequency. And I put customer count first because if that goes down, everything goes down with it. And if you look at the decline in the existing customers, which is down 10%, doesn't that almost correlate to every other number going down about the same amount?
Absolutely.
Which is very interesting. Yeah. And in the old days, and I hate to say that because then I really feel old, but when you used to walk past the operations desk at QVC, there was a monitor up there, up in the corner, and it had the daily customer count. And the arrow always had to be going upward. Right. Like every day they had to add customers. And if ever it was flat or going down, all hell would break loose. And there was like, what's going wrong? And, what would they change to correct that? This has now been going on for 4 years, and it's been going down with literally, I don't want to say no correction, but nothing that has worked. And, basically it's not that hard to make it, again, we played around with this, but to make shopping great again,
right.
Which is something we kind of played around with a long time ago. But to make shopping great again, I mean, to me, and again, I'm not at the helm, I want the company to do well. And we're picking on QVC and HSN because that's the only public company out there.
Right.
So that's the only one we really see the numbers. We don't know what's happening at Gem Shopping. JTV is private also. So we really don't know what's going on out there. But certainly QVC is the 500-pound gorilla or the big whale in the room. And it's very easy being a public company to look at what's happening. But the customer count is really what's killing everything right now. And they're making up. I mean, you can see it. They're trying to make up for the declining customer count in margin. And that then is also hurting the other core value, which is QVC, quality, value, convenience. So the value keeps going the other direction because they keep pushing on the margin to try to make up for the declining customer count. It's unfortunate. It really is.
It's funny you say that. I have it in front of me because their third quarter results came out November 5th. And yeah, everything 7% decrease year over year, blah blah blah. And the only place where they talk about losses being offset was in the margin, and so that's the only. In fact, as I look at these numbers here, because again, I'm not going to go over and read all of this as public knowledge, but again, just the highlights, if you will. Operating income decreased 61%. This is third quarter. Uh, uh, let's see. Revenue decreased 7%. This is QVC and HSN. I'm not going to bother with the international and the cornerstone and all that. So it's decrease. How do you spin these numbers and make them good? Because if we just talk about Wall Street and investors, how do you spin those numbers so Wall Street and the investors say, oh, QVC, we got our eyes on you?
Well, I think when you look at what's happened, and I sent you the graph over the last year or year to date, obviously Wall Street did not buy it, and the stock price is down almost 50%.
Yeah.
And when you take into account, which you just brought up, the 50-to-1 reverse split, it's still like at 20 cents a share.
Right.
I mean, it's really, really, it's sad. It really is. And they're deeply in debt, something to the tune of $5 billion. And this is all, again, we're only quoting public information.
Right.
And the debtors have formed a consortium, so they can't be picked off individually. So we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. We don't know what releases the QVC group is putting out. Is maybe a posturing to get Malone or somebody to give them breathing room, because if they didn't have the debt load, they probably would be doing okay.
It's funny you bring that up, because I've always resisted going too inside and into the business part of things. But I had someone, a listener on Instagram, reach out to me and ask, and of course now I can't find the question on the spur of the moment here, but they were reading, oh, here it is. I just saw that QVC lost so much money last quarter due to its viewership in debt. Is this a sinking ship that I am watching? So let's talk about that debt for a second, because debt comes due, and don't they have a lot of debt coming due?
They have I was going to use a word, but they have a load of debt coming due.
Yes, I know where you were going.
And about a year and a half, billions of dollars of debt coming due. I don't know what's going to happen. I really, really don't. I pray for my father's legacy that nothing dramatic happens, that there is some last minute reprieve where they recast the debt and give them a much longer time to pay it off so that they have a little bit of breathing room. But I just don't know. I mean, and again, that's the one side of it. The other side is they need to add eyeballs, listeners, and it was something, ironically, Sean, that Paul Kelly and I almost did at Shop NBC. When you think of the model pool at Shop NBC, the agencies that, have the models, what do? They take their picture, they put it in the book, they have some facts, their measurements, their weight, their height, whatever. And that's it. They don't do anything. And I said to Paul, we're creating video content around these models. Why don't we create our own agency and we'll do more for them? Well, in my opinion, and it's easy to be the Monday morning quarterback and the outside looking in, but QVC could really be creating its own influencer network and build its base of really great, iconic influencers and build a social media following around them. I told you many, many podcasts ago, and I've done a number of these with you, that when a group I represented made a run at what was then Evine, Shop NBC, et cetera, there was a slide that talked about the social media influencers at JTV, at GEM, Lisa Robertson at QVC, et cetera. And in the middle was my daughter. And my daughter had more social media followers than any show host at a shopping channel. And doesn't that really sum up the problem? That they never embraced that movement. Still today, they have not embraced that movement. I mean, I believe that there should be a social media influencer that's in a category that literally is talking about every show coming up so they can bring more eyeballs and more listeners. I have made a proposal to QVC to actually gain access to their audio channel for syndicated radio. You probably know this because of the space you're in.
Yep.
There are syndicated radio show hosts that have more listeners than QVC has viewers.
Yep.
And I've been talking to QVC for 2 years about this, and they still have not pulled the trigger on it. They said they want to do it, but they haven't done it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And again, in 2026, one of the first shows I'm going to do is with someone who is an influencer. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, in this industry, because I agree with you 100%. Now, again, as we talk about QVC, influencers, because again, my head starts to hurt on some of these things because I still don't understand TikTok. I know it's huge. I download it. I use it for 2 weeks. I delete it because it's not my thing. I'm not a TikTok demographic, let's just say. But the future of this industry has people on TikTok. So is QVC's future their TikTok stream that they started in 2025, or is it using influencers to get people to watch the QVC channel on television? Where does this whole influencer thing fall into play?
I would pick on Amazon. I mean, look what Amazon has done. They've made it very easy for a influencer to talk about a product and simply tag it on Amazon, and then they get paid. No one has to do anything. There's no heavy lift by Amazon. The products that are on TikTok with QVC are QVC products. Are they really the appropriate product for TikTok? I would say to you that would be the problem. That they don't have the right product for that audience. TikTok, or the short form video, is the future, and it's a much more organic content than the well-produced content. At QVC, there used to be a sign also. I mean, I was on there 20 years. There was a sign also in the studio, and it would say, quote unquote, "Strive to be live." In other words, let the fun stuff happen. They stopped that.
Yeah,
there's nothing fun anymore. It's not organic. It's overproduced. Yeah. And when you look at what really works in today's world, it's the organic video. Look at almost every video that has gone viral. And it's not a Kardashian. It's the guy on the skateboard drinking the grape juice. Yeah. It's a nobody. And you need something like that. I mean, like, that skateboard should have been sold on QVC.
Right.
As an example. That would be the connection. When we had Star Shop, we would have a big whiteboard in the conference room, and we'd have all the products and we'd have all the celebrities. We were a little ahead of our time. It was more celebrity focused than influencer. And we would then draw lines. We said, what product matched what influencer? And then we'd get that celebrity to do a video about that product, a short video, about 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes. Again, we were way ahead of the curve at the time.
There's an article that just recently came out in Business Insider about live streaming. And again, I didn't even know some of these apps exist. There apparently is an app called Palm Street, which is simply for plant people. And a guy went on there, live streamed selling plants, did $42,000 in one day selling 2 rare plants. And then it goes on to another guy, Golf Headquarters is his company. He went on Whatnot and did 6 figures over a 6-hour live show selling golf products. Now, again, they're both niche, and so niche followers are going to obviously be more interested in that. I couldn't care less about a plant. So that's not my thing, but plant people will spend big money. Golfers, my dad was a golfer. That's all he lived for. He would spend huge money on golf. So is there maybe finding these niche areas to specialize in?
I think you just hit it, but you didn't realize it. What, in today's world, when we want to watch Murders in the Building, we go watch it, right?
Right.
There's no other show before or after. It's Murders in the Building. We can watch everything to that point. If you and I, I'll pick on you and I, if we want to watch something on electronics or auto care, we want to go to a channel on electronics or auto care. If we tune into QVC and they have a day of beauty, we're gone.
True.
So in today's world, we want what we want at that moment. We have a very short attention span. And I think that is, again, unfortunately, in QVC's DNA, its live stream is not really formatted that way. They're trying to get there with the TikTok connection, but I still say the product is probably not the right product. In my opinion, they need their own network, their own farm league, using a baseball term, of influencers that they have cultivated that are loyal to them, that will bring on their own products or recommend products that then a buying team will then embrace. Now, I'll go into another thing. Again, I don't know if you didn't do much with QVC or anything, right?
No.
So QVC had a buyer group that would buy the infomercial products. So they could basically trump every buyer. Every other buyer hated them because they could go over everybody else. In my opinion, when you look at the great products that are on QVC, most of them come from the product rep companies. And there's about a half a dozen that are iconic. I mean, some of them do hundreds of millions a year in revenue on QVC. If I were doing it right now, you would have a buying team just buying from the product rep companies. There'd be no approval process. You eat what you kill. Everybody would be very motivated, and it would change the whole dynamic. But they're not going to do that. They can't. They're basically, their nose is barely above the water right now, and it's very hard for them to make a pivot or a change.
You mentioned again that their nose is barely above the water. Who saves the ship? What's going to happen? Is there, because I mentioned before, Wall Street came in, had confidence in QVC, said, hey, we're buying CVN because you guys know how to do it better. Is there a person, is there a team that could come in? Because like you said, QVC's stock is, pennies on the dollar for what it used to be. Someone could write a big check, buy the whole thing out, and possibly save the ship. Could that happen? And who would it be?
No. And I'll tell you why. When your last name is Segel, people call you.
Yeah.
And I was actually contacted from a group out of Dubai.
Wow.
That wanted to buy QVC. And when they started doing their investigation, basically their comment was the debt load makes it unbearable.
Here
you
we
can't
go
do
again.
it.
Yeah.
Right. So, but there was a buyer, at least one. I also, when you're in New York, you get to know the different teams that are out there. And over time, obviously, I hated the group at the time, but the team that took over, the hostile takeover of Shop NBC at the time, I reached out to them because they did it successfully. And he's in New York, or the group's in New York. And I reached out to them and I asked them if they could do it. And they did the same analysis that said the debt's not going to work. So I don't know that there's an answer other than what I said, which is for the debt load to be restructured, or, I hate to say it, or a bankruptcy, which would be devastating. And I pray that's not the course.
Well, Marvin, I want to thank you for your time. As always, great looking back on 2025. In about a month, Marvin is going to be back. Yes. As we look ahead into 2026 and see where 2026, it looks like, is going to be shaping this industry, these industries. And so it should be an interesting conversation then as well. For now, please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. You never miss a show. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, the two most popular ways, but there's a lot of other methods as well. Plus, you can listen to the archive of past shows. I hope you'll check me out on X, Facebook, and YouTube under Sean Wilsey, full name, on Instagram at SWilsey. Thank you for downloading this edition of Are We on the Air?
Yes, I know, Travis. That's why we give such bargains.
Copyright 2025, King Bobby Productions, all rights reserved.